morning, we are going to tell you about the warning that has been issued to the campaign from Donald Trump's pollster. You got to be digging into these numbers right now. They're having to reset after spending months of campaigning against Joe Biden. Suddenly it's shaping up to be a race between former President Donald Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris. So, if you're polling people every day, you're going to be right on the front edge of what might be problems, or what might be pluses, those kinds of things. But we are going to tell you exactly what that pollster had to say and what he feels like people inside the campaign need to know. Another one of the stories we're following this morning has to do, of course, with none other than Delta Airlines. Remember when Southwest had their meltdown now almost 2 years ago? It was right around Christmas time of 2022. Well, it all started with a software update last Friday, and most airlines got it figured out so that by about Monday, everything was, for the most part, back to normal. But boy, not Delta. And as a matter of fact, after thousands and thousands of flights got canceled, the latest problem is actually showing up right here in Phoenix at Sky Harbor Airport. We're going to tell you more about what that is. We're also going to dig into, I put it on my poll question today on my Twitter page, which is Ron Hoon Fox 10. Should there be a decision about the fate of the CEO? Is it time for him to go? Or are we in a situation where, he could legitimately say, look, it's not my problem. It's not my fault. It all has to do with a software update. So does the buck stop with him? Should he go? Really interesting the way people are reacting. That's at Ron Hoon Fox 10 on my Twitter page. So thanks for starting your day with us here. We call this the show after the show. It's on all of our digital platforms, fox10phoenix.com. It's on the new Fox Local app. And, of course, you can join us streaming every morning on YouTube. You can go back and watch previous shows, by the way. Just type in the search bar there, Fox 10 Talks. We've been at this for a few months now, and we just continue right out of the morning show on TV, right here on digital, to really dig into some of the stories that are maybe going to have a bigger impact, or frankly are just so interesting we want to be able to get you the additional information. So the headline this morning, pretty interesting, coming in this morning from a warning inside the Trump team. The pollster there is saying that they need to brace themselves to fall behind in the race to Kamala Harris. Did you see Chuck Schumer yesterday? I mean, he was giggling. Was he giggling? I think he was giggling when he held his news conference to say that he was going to endorse Kamala Harris. It's nearly universal within the party now. But because of all the excitement, and frankly, it was shaping up to be an election where a lot of people said, we wish we had other candidates we could vote for. Well, on the Democratic side, that has happened. And sometimes you have to think about, was it the biggest miscalculation of his life when Joe Biden said, okay, I'll do a debate in June? Traditionally, these debates, they don't even happen until after the convention, somewhere in September, maybe going into October. Well, by then, he would have been locked in as the nominee. But because he made the decision to go with that early debate in June, the convention never happened, and there's plenty of time for him to step aside and for the new candidate to come in. So, from Business Insider, it's beware the Harris honeymoon. This is Tony Fabrizio, who's telling folks on the Trump team that they need to be ready to see possibly a pretty decent bump in the national polls. The polling doesn't happen instantaneously. You really do have to give it a few days. So let's see where things stand about a week from now, say next Wednesday, when we've had a week or so for the news to get out there and people to talk about it with their friends and all the rest. Now, I'm going to make another, hold on here. Let's see. Is the vice president, is she coming on the stage or leaving the stage? I think she's just, wait, no. All right. She's disappeared. Sorry, we have live pictures coming in this morning. Her campaign is really firing up. And there now is a report that Mark Kelly might be all the way at the top of her list as the vice presidential running mate pick. So, just real quick, though, to wrap up this, Celeste joins, by the way. Good morning, Celeste.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone.
We had a great morning show today, didn't we?
We did. It was great.
Yeah, so much to cover. But we're digging into politics this morning because it's very interesting. So the word from this memo, he apparently was feeling like for the most part, extremely positive media coverage is going to energize Democrats and might even get independents who might have been kind of leaning toward Trump, but were still persuadable, to give a second look to the likely Democratic nominee. And again, according to Business Insider, the Democrats and the mainstream media will try and tout these polls as proof that the race has changed. But here's his major point. The fundamentals of the race stay the same. And he went on to say that she cannot change who she is or what she's done. So basically, it's an appeal to kind of everybody in the in the Trump campaign and in their orbit to look. We have to adjust very quickly here to a whole new race. We're running against somebody different, but to not panic as a result. So, Celeste, I mean, for the most part, it does seem like the coverage so far has been extremely positive.
Yes.
Toward her.
I think you mentioned Mark Kelly. It looks like to be possibly at the top of her list when it comes to possible VP picks. I think that's, from what I've read across the nation, I think a lot of people are thinking that's the case because he is here on the border. And the Biden administration has not had a great run with the border.
Well, and she's the border czar. I mean, she's been in charge.
Right.
Right? At least that was the original thinking.
And the border's been a mess up until the last 6 months, maybe 4 months, until Biden made that executive order.
If she thinks that's maybe her weak spot, maybe that's going to play a big role in him coming aboard.
Potentially, I think that could be the case.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because Drudge has a headline today.
Oh, I haven't heard somebody mention Drudge in a while. Love that you did.
Yes. Still check him out. Their headline is he now at the top of the VP list? And it's interesting, when you just kind of dig into some of the details that people are talking about. But it does appear that he has a really, really good working relationship before, over the course of her last several years in Washington and then his entry into the Senate. That they developed a really strong bond and working relationship. And I think you can't undersell chemistry. When you really love working with somebody,
right?
That might play as important a role as, okay, can you bring in a certain state with its electoral votes?
Right.
You do have to work with this person for the next 4 years.
No kidding.
Right?
Yep, especially in Arizona or any of the border states.
Yeah.
If he has close allies with any of those other border states,
right, and
any of the leaders in those states, he may be instrumental there.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to watch as that all plays out. But right now, things are looking very good for Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, which then would prompt a whole new discussion about, well, then who would fill that role? Because let's face it, every seat in the Senate is, it is crucial.
It's so important.
Because it's so close, both in the House and the Senate as we get closer to November. So let's hope that by November,
yes,
Delta Airlines has its act together.
And delivers all the lost luggage to whoever it belongs to.
Wouldn't you love to see a new memo that says, we have no idea where these bags go, but we're going to get it all resolved by November?
Yeah, hopefully by Christmas.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, okay, so Sky Harbor Airport is the scene. That's just one glimpse. What do you see there? 30 bags? Some of the other images show literally, it looks to me like hundreds of bags that are sitting there. And the real problem is they don't seem to belong to people in Phoenix.
And I think the girl's face here that you see in the distance on the other side of the luggage says it all. She's like, what is happening? Her mouth, her hand is over her mouth.
Yeah, that's a good point.
She's like almost in tears.
Right?
She's like, whose bag does this belong to?
Why did I ever want to fly into Phoenix?
It's 112 and 90% humidity. What is this monsoon?
I don't have my luggage. All right. Well, we're going to see how it all plays out. But today we were live all morning because starting yesterday, kind of midday, and then going into the nighttime hours, more and more kind of almost mysterious bags. Nobody seems to know why they were all showing up here.
Yeah.
Because they didn't belong to the local people here who otherwise would have grabbed them and took them home. Instead, they're going to have to figure out where they all go. Now, why is this a problem for Delta Airlines? I fly that airline a fair amount. And, they've had a reputation for years that honestly is being very tarnished right now.
Absolutely.
It just makes them look inept. It makes them look like they can't get their act together when all the other airlines have.
So, when you saw the situation with the security at Trump's rally,
yes,
it was the head of the Secret Service who was in front of Congress answering questions.
Yes, right.
Okay, in this situation, the buck stops usually with the CEO as well.
Yes.
So didn't you put a post or a poll up on Twitter? What are people saying on your Twitter about the CEO of Delta? Should or should not he keep his job?
Let's check in on it right now. So if you want to react to this, you can go to my Twitter page, which is Ron Hoon Fox 10. It says Delta Airlines, thousands of flights canceled in recent days. And now a sea of luggage shows up at airports from Atlanta to Sky Harbor. Remember, we had a reporter from Atlanta live with us earlier this morning on TV, and she said, it's some of the worst I've seen, and this is Wednesday following Friday. We're closing in on a week.
Yeah, so you hope people can, I'm sure there's few people as well who are trying to get home still.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And so we have people who are jumping in. Let me read to you. By the way, we love your comments on YouTube. Jump on that platform. A lot of folks start their mid-morning with us every morning right at 10 a.m. So keep those comments coming, you guys. But here was Robert Cantor who said, I guess Delta, I always have a feeling this is like a joke that's been around for a long time. I guess Delta stands for don't even leave the airport.
Oh, no.
I had never heard that one before.
Yeah. The Delta's damage control needs to jump on that real quick. And just,
right.
Yeah, it needs to stomp that one out.
Sure. Come up with a new acronym altogether. Yeah, so he said, look, I've been watching your story this morning on their problem with the baggage, and it's rough. And when I put this poll question up this morning, so far we're just a few dozen votes, but people definitely have opinions on it. So you can see right here, 63% say, yeah, you know what, the buck stops with him. Mm-hmm. But almost 37% say, really, it's not his fault. How can you blame the boss of the company, whether the buck stops with him or not? By virtue of the fact that you got to rely on people to get their job done, and then you're looking at CrowdStrike, and you're looking at whoever decided to actually put the update out there without realizing it could cause a problem.
I will say something about customer service with the airlines. We've all flown with all kinds of different airlines: Spirit, Frontier, Delta, American, Southwest, you name it.
Right.
The best customer service experience I've ever had was with Alaska.
Really?
The best.
Okay.
The best.
Because sometimes they get left out of the conversation.
They do because
they're up there in Seattle.
And they're a smaller airline.
And they're in Juneau and Nome and all these other places that maybe you've never been to.
Right, but they do fly into Phoenix.
Yes, right.
And
they become more of a national airline.
They really have.
They go all the way to the East Coast now.
They fly to Hawaii.
Sure.
They go around the country.
Now, if you want to go to Ketchikan, they're your best bet.
They are.
Right.
But you get a real person right away.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing, And so with Delta, I think one of the arguments was the customer service.
Okay. We're going to dig into it all a little bit more. Dean Fazzini, the maestro of the live cams from all over the USA. Look at this. What a nice, pleasant start to the day right there. And you got to believe when you're up in the mountains, by the way, this is Westminster, Massachusetts.
That's really pretty. This looks like a ski mountain, doesn't it? It
Yes,
looks like some
gotta
lifts.
be, right? Yeah. So, yeah, it's up there in the mountains, about halfway between Boston and Albany, New York. When you hear Massachusetts, of course, you think of Boston and Salem and Quincy and all those places. But, boy, they have some really beautiful mountain territory out toward the Berkshires, a town called Pittsfield, and another couple of towns. One's called Williamstown. You can take notes on this. I've traveled the world. Williamstown, Massachusetts is one of the prettiest towns anywhere in the U.S., and so are those pictures from Westminster. All right, so we're going to move on right now to the story that sure had people talking and, frankly, running for their lives. We go to Yellowstone National Park.
This is a scary sight.
Yeah, you know, people line up on these boardwalks, which, by the way, you got to be very careful. When this, I would say within 10 seconds of this particular shot being taken, we start to see people running away, and you might as well, because you're in danger of getting hit in the head with rock, you know, or some of the extremely hot, searing gases or steam. And so this is not Old Faithful. It's just one of the other many, many geysers. But when it went off, I mean, this was a sight to behold. You're supposed to see the nice, gentle white puffs. You're not supposed to see. That's all dirt and rock that is coming up from below the Earth's surface.
You know, it makes you think what else is bubbling underneath the Earth's surface. Like how many of these geysers are around Yellowstone, and what are the chances that this could happen? Because look how close people are getting.
Yeah, no
people
kidding.
get really close to these geysers. Imagine there was another one and just kind of blew.
Yeah. Well, you know, literally my very first month in this business, the year was 1980. The month was the month of May, and I lived up in the Great Northwest working in Spokane, and there was a volcano that exploded up there called Mount St. Helens.
Oh.
And, I mean, it sheared in a matter of minutes. It sheared about well over 1,000, close to 1,500 feet right off the top of that mountain.
Wow.
And I'll have to bring in some pictures someday and you can Google it. I mean, the images are unbelievable. But that volcanic ash spread for hundreds of miles, and I remember months later, even years later, the volcanic ash still sitting along the side of the road.
Unbelievable.
You don't want to mess with Mother Nature. And they're still trying to geologists are trying to figure out why it happened in the first place.
Yeah.
You know? So they are warning people that there's no sign of any kind of massive volcanic eruption, because you are basically sitting on one gigantic caldera when you're up there at Yellowstone. So, you know, they're trying to keep people calm. This is an unusual event, but things should be fine if you're headed up there. And Celeste, I don't know if you guys have ever been.
I've never been to Yellowstone.
But it is so exciting.
So what's on the ground? You have the walkway that we see. What's
right.
on the ground underneath the walkway?
Okay, so that would be some of the flowing water. It has to go somewhere when it emanates from these geysers.
Okay.
Because there's a gush. First, there's like a little gurgling, you know, what seems like a few gallons of water. And now I'm talking about Old Faithful. And then you start to see the steam come up and everything looks normal. But that water all has to go somewhere. And that's why they had to build these elevated footpaths, A, to give it a natural place to flow, and B, you would never want to be walking out there when more of that hot, steamy water is rolling around.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, everybody has their cameras out these days.
Right.
You know, that's how we have this image. But
yeah. Well, speaking of cameras, I don't know about you, but I'm glad this guy had his camera out.
This is crazy.
Wow, man. That's a good zoom in here. So that's Jeff Haggerty in our editing department doing a nice zoom in, and it shows you, I mean, this whale.
Look at the size of that whale compared to the fishing boat.
Yeah, I mean, it lands on it, it swamps it, you know,
it capsized.
Ends up being capsized, and there were a couple of people on that boat. There were several ships and boats right in this area. So, yeah, shocker for a lot of them. Amazingly, nobody drowned. Nobody was seriously hurt, but boy, do you have a tale to tell. And thank goodness this one guy just happened to be rolling his camera.
Nice play on words there with the tail, Ron. But, the fishing boat, it makes you think, the humpback whale, usually, I don't believe, you rarely hear of stories like this where they would leap out of the water onto the fishing boat.
Yeah.
So were they very close to like baby whales?
Ooh,
or,
yeah.
and they maybe probably didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know that the fishing boat was that close. Or were they close to something else? Or was the mom, is she pregnant? Or you never know what's happening, obviously.
This is
Mother
why
Nature.
we need a panel of experts to join us here in the podcast
Thank you,
studio
Ron.
every day.
Yes.
I mean, we were just talking about how we need a geologist on staff to
Thank
explain
you.
Old Faithful or Yellowstone. Now we need a marine biologist to explain
Let me check my
rather
contacts.
unusual phenomenon way out there. Well, anyway, glad everybody came out of it okay, but wow. It's such an impressive sight.
It really is.
These whales. I would love to see one in person sometime. All right. Ready? Here we go. We have our poll that we've been running today on National Drive-thru Day. And it has to do with this whole question about what's the very worst thing about a drive-thru. And at last check, leading with about 40% of the vote, over 1,000 votes already, is when they get the order wrong. Now, Celeste, are you one that will literally stop and fish through the bag to make sure they got everything?
I'll have my kids do it because I'm in the driver's seat. But
Okay.
yesterday,
Right.
I won't say where we were at. We were in a drive-thru.
Okay.
And my daughter
Yeah.
ordered a chocolate milk with her meal.
All right.
Okay? But they gave her a chocolate shake.
Oh, gosh.
And she was like, I didn't want a chocolate shake.
Right.
I wanted just the chocolate milk.
Yeah.
But I just think that maybe she heard her wrong, and I was like, we're not waiting this. We're not. Come on, we
Really?
got to go. We came
Okay.
through the drive-thru for a
Yeah.
reason.
You didn't park and march right in.
Excuse me,
file your
ma'am.
complaint?
No. But I think it's, human error.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, so let's see. Do we have our McDonald's shot? We love that shot, by the way. That's the McDonald's right there at 7th Street and the I-17 freeway. I was at a McDonald's, not this one way out in Mesa not too long ago. And I had kind of an interesting experience because they almost every morning they have a deal on their app where you get a good, tasty breakfast sandwich, which I like the sausage egg biscuit.
It's delicious.
Give me a sausage egg biscuit. And I know exactly what it costs on the app because it's $2. So with tax, it's $2.19.
Okay.
So when I pull up to the window to get my long-awaited sandwich, I'm like, well, hold on a second here. It's not $2.19 today. It's like $2.74.
What?
And I said, can I see the receipt? And come to find out that the person on the other end of the squawk box, on their own, added a slice of cheese, which, boy, they are more than happy to add 40 or 50 cents for one skinny slice of cheese to your menu.
You're like, I'm trying to save the pennies, and I don't need the calories.
Yeah, right. Yeah, in both regards, that's for sure. So, getting the order wrong is... Now, I'm the opposite of you, Celeste. If there's... I hate to say it, if there's 40 cents that's to the bad,
Yeah,
I'm going to talk to them about it,
Yeah,
right?
come on.
I mean, I also had an experience where I was charged for little tiny packets of mayo, 20 cents each.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Correct. I mean, do you have to have a profit margin built? Even if you're going to charge your poor customer 20 cents per, you're not buying those packets for 20 cents a piece. They're probably 3 or 4 cents a piece, if that.
I will tell you, though, have you noticed the price of mayo at the grocery store?
It's up.
It's up, like really high.
Yeah, it's true.
So they're probably passing it on to you, Ron.
You, the consumer. Hey, just one other real quick story that attracted our attention from earlier this morning. It was up there in, hold on here. I'll find it. There we go. The eagle.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a young eagle that was seen perched underneath a sheriff's department vehicle.
He was hot.
Yeah, up there in Mojave County. And he sprung into action. You know what he did? He figured out very quickly, this eagle is looking for some place to cool off and has landed right underneath my vehicle. I can't leave.
Yeah, no.
So he actually gently picked the eagle up.
Oh.
The bird allowed it. It was probably exhausted in the heat. And he put it in the back seat of the car and cranked the AC.
Oh, how sweet. Then the eagle, did he spread his wings in the car? You know,
probably,
he's like,
oh, man,
bring it
I'm
on.
telling you, you can't, until you see them up close and personal, you can't fully appreciate how large they are. But shout out to the Mojave County Sheriff's Office.
That is amazing.
All right, Celeste, I feel a mystery cam coming on.
Let's go for
We
it.
are going to go there live right now. Oh, let's see.
Where is this?
I like the looks of this one.
There's a smokestack off in the distance. You see that little?
Yes, okay. Yeah, double smokestack.
Okay, double. Where would that be? Like somewhere like in Michigan or?
It could be at Michigan.
Like a Great Lakes. I'm just trying to think of
could
where
be a
would
Great
there be
Lake.
factory? The factory would. That's what a smokestack would be.
Yeah, like maybe up around like Duluth, something like that.
Yeah, Minnesota. Is that Minnesota?
Yeah, that's Lake Superior.
I have a student working there now. She's got her first morning anchor job.
Really? Good
Yes.
morning, Duluth.
Yeah. Big D.
Yeah, good morning, Duluth. It's the other big D. Okay, so do you want to go with Duluth, or what do you think?
I'll go with Duluth.
All
yeah.
right. I am going to say,
In honor of
that
Sydney.
this is the most talked about political city in America.
Oh.
Isn't it interesting to you that Wisconsin seems to be where so much of both sides must have polls that are like, oh, it is close. So I'm going to say it's Milwaukee. And because they're on the Great Lakes, you know, it's prettier when it's a blue sky day, but I'm betting that is going to be what we end up having.
Milwaukee?
Let's go to I know.
Wow.
I know. But let's see what you got.
Hey,
Go ahead
Wisconsin, sure
Oh,
would.
see, now, once again, it's from a suburb. The camera's in a suburb, so now you're not going to allow me to win, are
Yeah,
you, Celeste?
you can win.
Can I?
Wisconsin. I actually am quite surprised that Wisconsin is like a battleground state.
Yeah, well.
You know,
yeah.
my stepdad grew up there, and he pretty much raised me. You know, him and my mom got married when I was little.
Yeah.
But he tells me about all. You know, he's a big rifle guy, and you know.
Good.
NRA.
We love those rifle guys.
Here in Arizona, we do. He's a hunter.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for spending time with us.